All right, welcome to the October 5th, 2023 meeting of the Decatur Architectural Review Board. I will call roll with each commission member answering present. Ellis?
Present.
Lynn?
Present.
Bill?
Present.
Barbara?
Present.
And I'm Jacob, the board chair, and we have a quorum present. Dr. Swope is the city's preservation specialist. Thank you to everyone who's attending today. Your involvement in this commission's proceeding is vital to the effectiveness of this process. There is a copy of the agenda out front if you would like one. Historic district designation means your neighborhoods have been recognized by the United States government, the state of Alabama, and the city of Decatur as being architecturally or historically significant to our community. Historic districts are not created to prevent changes, but rather to ensure that the proposed changes are appropriate to the individual property and the districts as a whole. The board's responsibility is to review the appropriateness of all proposed changes. Each historic resource within the district is assessed on its own individual merits. What is appropriate for one property may not be appropriate for another based on resource age, location, neighboring properties, and stylistic details. The Architectural Review Board's rulings are based on written standards and regulations that guide our review and decision-making. These guidelines and the Commission's decisions have the force of city ordinance. You can access our guidelines along with application forms on the city's website. Our hearing process is as follows. Staff will present the applications. When they read your name and property address, please be prepared to come to the podium. Staff will present the application and staff assessment of each request. When staff has finished presenting the application item, the applicant and/or designated representative will then state their name and address and provide any additional information or comments regarding that application item. The board may ask clarifying questions of the applicant at this time. Next, we will hear any public comments on that particular application item only. After public comment has closed, the chair will entertain a motion and the board will discuss and dispense with that application item. Staff will then process to the next application item and so forth. An approved certificate of appropriateness, or COA, will be issued in the form of an email that's copied both the applicant and the building department. Approximately 1 week after this hearing, the document will outline and reaffirm what was approved and that the project has been approved. A COA must be issued before a building permit can be obtained. If any changes to your project are anticipated after the COA is issued, it is the responsibility of the homeowner to contact staff and she will help guide you. In some cases, you may be required to submit the changes for review and issuance of a new COA. If your project is denied and you are not issued a COA, you will be issued a letter stating the reasons for denial and additional information. Denied COAs will be sent via certified mail to the property owner's address filed with the Morgan County Revenue Commissioner's Office. You may resubmit an application with revised plans at a future meeting. There is an appeal process for a denied COA as well, which is spelled out in the municipal ordinance under section 1825 and 1892. After all applications are heard, the commission will entertain general comments from the public, limited to 3 minutes per an individual. Okay. First item of business is to approve the minutes from the September 14th, 2023 meeting.
So moved.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, item number 3, expedited COA since our last meeting.
Yeah, we can clarify for people here, we're waiting for the applicants for the first 2 COAs, so we're gonna move to the third one, which is Delo Park. So this is Delo Park, it's the little bridge in the park, and Barbara Kelly with Delo Park Conservancy is the one who's working on the COA. This is an art installation, and this bridge was installed circa 1940s. Whoops, I have a map, but it doesn't show Delo Park on here, which it should. But this is Delo Park. So the bridge, and you see it where it intersects right here with this is 8th. And so here's the little concrete bridge. And there is a closer detail of it, older photo. And the bridge is sort of floats in the park. It's not anchored. There was a ditch that it was over. The ditch was filled in. Putting in plants is somewhat problematic because it's used so heavily. And so Ms. Kelly came up with the idea of using some repurposed millstones that were in the neighborhood that a homeowner no longer wanted. They were yard art essentially. Moving them into the park, they're 4 large millstones, and doing a mosaic pebble installation so it looks sort of like koi with water lilies and turtles, and maybe even having a bronze sculptural element for the turtle. It's still in sort of a rough development, so at this point, because it's an art piece, I think the hope was that if the commission feels it's suitable, that they would just allow me to work with her as she finalizes it, because we're gonna have to be working with an artist, and if anything very unusual comes up, I can bring it back to the commission if need be. In terms of the design review standards, we don't have one for art. Delano Park, the standards for the Delano Park talks more about the buildings. This does not seem incongruent with other things in the park, including the children's playground. It actually ties in fairly nicely with that theme. So any questions?
All right, I'm glad to see something done with it because it just looks lost.
And that's the children love it.
And see, I played under it as a child, a long time ago.
Barbara, we'll have you up at the podium, so if you're saying anything, it goes into the mic. That's all right. Any
Yes,
other?
It's the most beloved structure in the park, I think, even as it is, but it would be so much better if it had something to anchor it to the landscape. You know, the grass is okay, but it looks really strange out there. It doesn't look so strange to me because I'm used to it, but when another landscape architect comes or something, they always say, you've got to move the bridge. And the bridge has got so many memories that I just don't want to move it out of its strange place in the middle of the park, but it's been recommended that we do trees around it. I don't know what will happen in the future, but if we can just anchor it and add, you know, the native animals in some kind of art form, that's what the goal is. I found, this is just to give us the not that we're gonna have a star, it just shows the construction of doing the pebbles and how deeply they should be done. So the city has said they will do the concrete part and get the millstones in place at the right level, which is going to be a challenge because each millstone's a little different in depth, and they're 36 inches wide, they're pretty heavy. And so they're going to get that done, and then we have to find an artist or an artisan to do the pebble design and figure out if we're going to have fish, what we're going to have. It'll be very simple though, I think. And then hopefully someday we'll have a bronze, 1 or 2 bronze turtles that the children can play on. They love the turtle in the children's area, and so that's a separate project. After this gets done, then we'll work on that. Any questions?
I really like the idea of it, just since it is there and it's been there for so long, and just making that into an art piece, like the whole, just grounding it that way, I think is a great idea. I didn't have any other.
I'll make a motion that we approve an art installation there under the bridge and allow Caroline to work with Delo Park Conservancy on the exact nature of it, as long as it's similar to what's been proposed, because I know that'll change.
Second.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? All right.
Barbara? Yeah,
Yeah,
yep, you're next. And I'll give the staff report, and then if they have questions, they'll ask them of you up at the podium. And I realized Jacob will miss going through the fast track COAs, so I should read those in now. Fast track COAs since the September meeting, 313 Oak, that was repair in kind front porch supports and build new wood front steps. 615 and a half Moulton, roof for garage. 1022 Sherman, roof, and 625 Sherman, roof. It is roofing season now. The COA is 609 Oak. We have two. I've split them into two separate COAs to keep them in their administrative lanes. This project had a COA issued for in-kind replacement of damaged woodwork, brick repointing, and new roof on main house. A stop work order was issued August 24th when staff confirmed that new trim was being added to the front gables of the house, larger in scale and profile than the original trim, and that additional trim pieces were added. The action requested is the applicant would like to keep the new trim. For the design review guidelines for the commission, 4.0, architectural details. Under 4.1, maintain and preserve historic architectural details and features. Architectural features help convey historic buildings' architectural style. Architectural details should not be covered or removed. Their proper care and maintenance prevent deterioration and loss of individual elements, helping to maintain overall integrity. 4.2, repair existing architectural details. For small areas of deterioration in wood features, repair with wood epoxy. Epoxy fillers are used to strengthen and consolidate wood, cut out larger areas of decay, and fill the void with new pieces of wood. And 4.3, replace a missing or severely damaged historic architectural detail and feature in kind. Select replacement features that match original feature in design, proportion, and detail. Historic photos, graphics, drawings, or other evidence or useful aids. And so this is the site locator. This house had been under duress for a while, and so that initial COA, they needed to clean off all of the landscaping that had grown around it. This is the property as it was found when the stop work order was placed on it. It's just the front of the house, and that is a detail of the trim. This is a photo from June, before that work occurred, so that shows you the difference in the profiles of the trim. These are the notes, and I wrote these all out in the staff report for the commission, the board, that list off the sizing of the crown and what was done. So you have all of that in your notes. This is sort of a side-by-side photo that shows the difference here. And I talked with Jacob about this as I was working through the right terminology to use and make sure the staff report was correct. And he kindly sent these images to us that sort of outline and label some of his concerns. Jacob, would you like, I can put the slides through one by one, and can you read it well enough there, or do you need me to read it for you?
I probably need to, I don't think I can.
Do you want me to read it? Okay. So his note on this is, all this trim is oversized and not appropriate for craftsman style. This is leaning more towards Greek revival.
Well, just kind of stopping right there, what I was looking at is the way it's built up on the bottom. So it begins to accentuate the triangle or the gable. And you see that a lot in the Greek revival, where you have you want to accentuate that triangle shape. And I know on Craftsman, you really want to get the angle. So you the gable kind of goes away. You're really not focused on that. So I was worried about trying to introduce a new architectural style with that heavier trim and accentuate that triangle, which kind of changes the whole look of Craftsman. But that's kind of what I was worried about, the sizes of those. What I found interesting, I went out there and looked, is it does have a crown piece that runs around where the stucco stops and you have a flat board and there's a crown piece. That crown, that same profile runs around the entire house. It goes in between each roof rafter that extends out. And then when it gets to a gable, it turns and it goes up the rake, back down, and it ties back in. So this one trim kind of wraps the entire house. And that's kind of the way it was designed to do. And I get worried about that, changing those details out and taking away some of that character defining pieces that kind of define the style, proportion, and what was done when the house was put together by whoever designed it. But that's, if you go to the next picture, it kind of shows where that triangle, you really see that triangle. I know once you paint it all black and things kind of go away, it may take some of that accentuation out. But if you get close and look at it, it's still there. And I think it just, where that is beefed up at the top is just kind of taken away from that. I think I don't know if the original one by or the original piece of wood was removed where the stucco stopped, or if another one was added. I couldn't really tell.
It was added.
From that. It was added.
It was added.
And I don't know if the original one is still in good enough shape that you could
It's
just
not.
add that to it, or if it needed to
Yeah,
come
we'll have
out.
to tear the stucco out to get it out of there.
So I don't know if it can be patched, bondoed, if there's any kind of repair that can be done to it to keep it in place. That I don't know.
Next slide.
Yeah. That's kind of the example of what I was talking about. This is, I believe, a gable on the side. So it's got that small trim that is, or the crown that's between the flat board that is your stop for your stucco, and then where the beadboard soffit tie in. And that's the trim I was talking about that runs around the entire house. And it's small enough that it goes, the brackets that are on the gables, it's small enough that it kind of can go across it and keep going all the way around. And you can see on the bottom, it's just got a really small drip edge at the board that is at the base of that stucco. So you can go to the next one.
So that's sort of super,
And so that was my concern when I was out there, of just kind of introducing some, kind of what 4.4 of our guideline talks about, of introducing some architectural features that aren't really historic to the structure.
Jacob, did you note if the beadboard, I know there was older beadboard on there that was removed, but historically, if you think it was a beam there and the beadboard was added later, when y'all were working on it and you pulled off the older beadboard, was there just a beam? What was under it?
It's not a real beam. It's two flat boards that go top and bottom. They're 2 inches thick and 6 inches wide, and it had the beadboard on it originally. So we took it off because we couldn't get it clean enough to even paint, and rather than scrape and having lead-based paint everywhere, we wrapped it all up, hauled it off, and put that in place of it.
It's just an odd look having the beadboard on the front.
Yeah, they
having
were
that
curious
vertical-
about that
If you
because
look at the pictures, you'll see it's there.
Yeah, it's
no, we
just-
know it's,
well,
we know it's there. The question, we were wondering if,
When it was
when they
put in.
added that metal support in the 50s or 60s, if they threw the beadboard up at that time. So we were curious when you removed it, if you saw indications of what originally had been there or not. We were sort of trying to
That's
figure
what
that
it
out.
was. And it had some blocks standing up and down. That's all it had for a beam.
So there wasn't any
That's why it
solid
was so
board.
sagged.
So they must have, it probably sagged, and when they came in the 50s and added the metal support, they probably mucked with that original beam at that time.
That would be my guess also.
Yeah.
That's why it's there.
Yeah, so.
That's just a picture of that little detail that runs around, little crown that goes right above the bracket.
I think you've got
But that,
one more.
those were kind of my comments on it all.
Okay.
There's a few odd things on this one that don't look like they were original. That was there when I got there, but there were some things we changed.
Any questions for him?
So my biggest concern or question would be, And Jake, you said it yourself, when this gets painted, it's gonna disappear. Now, I know there's a concern later down the road, somebody else buys a house, they change paint colors, they add a little color, and then there it is again. And I don't wanna create that, I don't wanna do that, but at the same time, I didn't think it was an overkill on what I added. But if it is, please let me know.
In my opinion, it is. I don't know about the comments of everybody else on the board, but for me, it kind of exaggerated the details of what was there.
I kind of agree with you, and my main concern is that if we allow this here, then we have to allow it everywhere.
Yeah, that's a concern every time.
And, yeah, but it's, you know, the precedent that we set, and so I'm thinking that, you know, need to address that a little bit to match the original feature and design portion in detail.
Okay. So you wanna see it go back to this?
Or something real similar. I mean, I'm not.
That's what it was when I found it. All I did was fix the pieces that were bad, which was, we had to replace all this roof, so all that crown came off with it.
Yeah.
So we just put it back like it was, and she didn't like it. She wanted something a little bit more three-dimensional, so that's why we went to that.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say it needs to go back to the simple crown. I think where it was cut on that outside corner, I guess before it went up the rake, and just kind of tie it back in and around. So I don't know how much of that crown you bought new or replaced, or if it was all existing. Some of it out there looks like it was new, and
A
some
lot
of
of it's new, almost all of it. Yeah. Some of that old stuff was bad. It was cracked, busted, couldn't come off very well, so it's new.
So that's what it looked like. There was the crown between some of the roof rafters going down the side was all new, looked like the crown was new.
So some of that was new also, but some of it was old.
Yeah.
We was able to save some of that, where we didn't have to rip the roof off.
I think from when I was out there, for me, that profile that's on that outside corner, if that matched and went up, I would agree to that one. And just a simple drip edge across the top of the beadboard that was replaced.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Any other questions? Okay.
No, I don't think so.
Motion?
Motion?
I guess I need to be in the form of a
They're always in the affirmative,
approved.
and then people vote based on that affirmative motion.
Okay. And I move that we accept the changes as they are. Keep, you know, all the new features that have been added. What else do I need to say?
It's just, you move to accept the COA as presented.
Accept the COA as
Yeah,
presented.
and then you can get a second.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any other discussion?
Who seconded it? I missed that.
Barbara.
Okay.
All in favor? All opposed? No.
No.
So 3-2? Okay. Well, hold on, let me get it. So, motion failed to pass.
Just 3-2.
Yeah.
3 noes, 2 yeses.
Yeah.
Okay.
And that means we'll look for a new COA that I can sign off on that is replacing kind, which essentially means taking it back to what it was before.
You already have that COA,
Yeah,
so we don't need a new
Yeah.
one.
so just following that one.
So we
Yeah.
just need to put it back like this picture here.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's it. And now we've got the lighting.
I'll pass that one.
So, the second COA for this, it's new front porch lights. So these are the proposed lights. Staff has the ability to fast track lighting, so I didn't have concerns with the style of lighting, My concern was, when I was there, that they were wanting to put 5 lights up, and I felt that was beyond anything I had approved before, so I felt that needed to go to the commission, because I didn't feel that I could be setting precedent on this. The design review standards do not address the number of lights on the exterior of the house. Staff could not find precedent for 5 exterior front lights on a building of this size, nor from this era. I went through the neighborhood looking for ones that had COAs. So these are the 5 locations, so it's a little shady here, but this is the
4.
front.
It's only supposed to be 4.
Oh, it's only supposed to be 4? Which one got removed?
The one in the middle.
Which,
that-
this one
that
here?
one.
Okay.
You remember we talked about it on the front porch that time?
Get back. All right, so now we got 4.
There's just one on each side of the window and one on each side of the other windows.
Okay. So, this is the one that's getting
Correct.
pulled?
Yes.
Okay, so ignore, where my cursor is, ignore that. So now it is
Sorry.
for 4. 2 on the sort of the patio section when you first come up, 2 on the main house. And then Jacob, when he sent his comments on the rest of the house, he sent this proposal. And Jacob, I will let you explain to the commission what you're showing.
I know when I was driving around kind of looking at houses, a lot of them I saw just had a light beside the door. That was all they had. There were a few that had second ones added on a covered porch. And I felt with the size of the house that you could probably do 2. I knew that there is a walkway on the, coming off of that porch. So you're gonna have a porch and a covered porch and an open porch.
That's correct.
And so I felt that, you know, you kind of had 3 on there if you wanted 2 in the porch on underneath the covered part to kind of balance it. You could have 1 on the outside just to kind of light that initial walkway coming up. But that's kind of was my thought, was kind of allow 3 on there. But if you drive around, there's just not many houses with a whole bunch of lights on the front that are wall mounted. And I know the guidelines don't have a whole lot in there, and that's just my opinion.
I think the 4th one was actually put on there just so you didn't have that dark corner on the left. These are not super bright lights. They're to look more like a candlelight style. Gaslight, I guess.
I didn't have any problem with the actual fixture itself. I thought it was fine.
What's the wattage on them? Do you know? They normally hold 60-watt bulbs. With 2 bulbs, that'd be 120 watts per fixture.
I don't even think these are. I think these are either, I think they're 40s or 30s. I mean 35s, because they're really low wattage. But, I mean, I got them at my office. I can certainly send that in. If there's a wattage that you'd like to stay under, I have no problem with that.
Any other comments or thoughts?
My concern, if we're deciding here, is I would prefer that Caroline, when we find out what the wattage is, where exactly they are, to get an idea. And I think, would y'all be comfortable?
Lynn,
Uh-huh.
thing is, once the fixtures go in, someone can change out the fixtures and it's gonna be wattage
That's
on
true.
whatever's next.
That's true.
So,
Okay.
I agree with that. I don't disagree with that. And if you guys think 3's the right number, I'm not opposed.
I think it's more in keeping with the,
I'm just looking at a safety issue on this one more than anything. I know it's not really the most aesthetic look, but when you walk up those steps, it's gonna be dark with the lights where they're at now.
What about landscape
Are
lighting?
they putting any lights in the yard? Because one of the things that's encouraged is they can put lights along the sidewalk or a pole fixture. So that is certainly something they can do, and that's something that normally I fast track, if they wanna go that route, to add lighting down where people are walking.
I don't have that answer.
Okay.
Yeah, I would say a little spotlight or something to light that up out of the, like, landscape lighting may light it up better than the one on the house for the steps themselves, because they're so far away from the house. I'm not sure it's gonna light it up very much, being on the house.
Now you know why we picked 4.
Anything else? Do I have a motion?
Well, the COA is for 5 lights. Can that be changed to 4, or how is that done?
We can change the COA to 4.
Or how about 3?
Well, no, remember, you vote on what is submitted, so what he's asking
Okay,
is.
okay.
You would have to amend it
Amend it.
to
So-
amend the COA, which I don't know.
So let's save some time and trouble. Let's go, if we're gonna change it from 5, change it to 3, and let's see if that will pass. If it will,
Okay,
it might just save everybody a lot of time and trouble.
all right.
So we can make a motion on this one as it stands, and then resubmit one for 3 at a future meeting.
And that will also
No, I could
help,
approve that.
You could approve
'cause
that
that's-
fast track?
Yeah, I can approve that.
and also help on future wattage too, so nobody
Yeah.
overbrightens the.
Yeah. So what we're looking for now is just a motion to accept the COA as
As
it
is.
was
As
submitted.
I'll make that motion.
Make that motion. Do I have a second?
I don't understand exactly.
He's making a motion to accept the COA as 5 lights installed.
Okay.
Remember, all of the motions have to be submitted in the affirmative, so whatever is submitted in the packet is what the commission votes on. They can accept it or not, and once that vote is taken, then we move to the next stage if it is a no vote. So we have a motion from Ellis, a second
Do I have
from
a second?
Second.
Lynn.
Any other discussion? All in favor? All opposed? No.
No.
So that doesn't pass.
Right, Alan? I mean,
Okay, so on this one, we can do,
I agree with it.
so on
So
this
what-
one, I can authorize this
Yes, so-
three.
Can we say 3 would be, with
Yeah.
your
Yeah, we're saying
approval?
3 is
Yeah.
okay, so
Even though
she
it's
can-
not in the COA, and so
Yeah, I
Correct.
can fast track 3.
so if you would
That
just
was
do
the
whatever
original, that
paperwork
was
she
the original
requires, and
discussion
then
when
you
I
have
was
to come back
there.
here.
Yeah.
Okay,
I don't know what she's gonna
oh, I
require.
don't mind coming back here. It's fine, it's whatever y'all need me to do.
Any other questions? That was a short agenda. So,
Thank you for coming out.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, good to see you, Jay, good to see you. Bill, good to see you. Always good to see you. Miss Carol.
Always good to see you.
I guess we got needed to church pretty soon, right? Something about a water?
About what? Water heater?
Does it say John?
Yep.
I think it was a windowsill. A windowsill. Windowsill. Yeah. Yeah, just give me a call.
Any other comments or questions this evening? Discussion?
Move we adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Lynn. Is there a second?
Second, yes.
Second by Ellis. All those in favor? Aye. We're done.